I'm going to step back for a minute, you guys, to Assembly District 9. Diana Rodriguez Sariki is here. She has a long record of prudent leadership at all levels of government. She has served as a manager for both county and state government. In 2008, she was overwhelmingly elected to serve as trustee of the Sacramento City Unified School District with over 66% of the vote. Diana has fought to bring transparency, accountability, and proper spending of the school district's $480 million budget. While serving as the president of the school board, she uncovered wasteful spending and worked to redirect those funds into the classroom. She has advocated for the best teachers in our classroom and closing the achievement gap. Diana has participated in the White House Initiative on Educational Excellence for Hispanics, President Obama's White House Hispanic Policy Summit, and as a guest commentator on National Public Radio. She's a longtime public servant with a combined 15 years of work experience in the public sector. Please help me in welcoming Diana.
Good afternoon, everyone. How are you today? Are you really fine?
We're doing fantastic.
All right. So I apologize for being late. I'm a very hardworking candidate. So I was at a community forum earlier this morning, and then got my volunteers, gathered them up, and we went and started a walk and a phone bank this afternoon, and then I rushed right over here, and I've got my clothes in a bag right there, so as soon as I'm done, I'm changing and going back out there to work. So that's how hard of a working of a candidate I am. So si se puede todos. So here I am, I stand before you today as an assembly candidate for District Area 9. I've met most of you in this room, and I'll be excited to meet the others that I don't know their faces in this room at the end of this conversation that I'm having with you today. I am currently a member of the school board for Sacramento City Unified School District. I've served for 6 years on that school board, and I have advocated for 5 main groups that I consider need we need somebody to advocate for them. So that is Latino students, African American students, Southeast Asian students, students with disabilities, and students who live in poverty. Those are the 5 main groups that we need to be focused on in terms of how we look at our region. If we want economic development, it's going to start with education. If we want more jobs, we want more access to wealth, it's going to start with education overall. So first and foremost, we need to focus on education. And that's what drives me to serve on that school board. But through the 6 years I have served there, we have experienced some extreme divestments in our education system. With the economic downturn, we have had no other choice but to cut teachers, to cut classroom assistants, to cut transportation, to cut even our own schoolhouses. We've had to shutter 6 to 7 schools in the last 5 years, and in the most poverty-stricken environments where we have seen the greatest amount of attendance issues in those areas. Why would we have to do that? Because we don't have a legislature right now that is focused on education. So that's why I'm running today. It's about leadership, and it's about leadership that works for the people and not some people.
Very good. Right on.
Thank you. Second of all, I have also in my career have dedicated myself 15 years for working for county government, state government, and a little tiny stint as a summer youth employee for the Watsonville Public Library. I have learned by working on the inside of government what it needs to take on the outside of government. I can tell you that as a state employee working for the California Prison Health Care Services, which is under the receivership, I was the only one in the state of California that wrote and procured contracts for all 33 state prisons. I developed a methodology on how to write those contracts, and at the end of the day, I saved the state almost $1 billion. So you tell me, who will make a good representative at that state legislature? The one that knows how to get the work done? I stand before you when we save dollars like that, and when you have somebody that sits in the legislature that knows the inner workings of county government, which, by the way, I worked for 2 different counties for 10 years. I worked for Santa Cruz and I worked for Monterey counties. And when I worked for Monterey County, I actually did HR, policy, and budget. I built budgets. I know how budgets work. And I saved money there too. And I worked on HR policy that had to deal with affirmative action. So at the end of the day, it's about education, it's about economy, and of course it's about healthcare. And I think you all have heard about all of the issues about healthcare from all of the other candidates before you. But just trust me, working in prison healthcare, I think I know a lot about healthcare. Thank you. And I entertain any questions.
One quick item. Before the economic crisis hit California, so a few years ago, there used to be, in most counties, there used to be a robust adult education component so that, family members, parents could participate in getting either GED or a high school education or some kind of a skill that would give them a livelihood. We saw with the economy that statewide, the state legislature defunded it, the governor defunded it, and many school districts defunded it. So what, both as a school board member, but as a candidate for the assembly, can you commit to restoring some funding for adult education because it's so vital?
I have been a champion on the fight for the adult education. In my area alone, in the south side of Sacramento, we have closed our adult education centers. We used to have adult ed called Flooring Tech on Flooring and 24th Streets. I pushed onto our superintendent that we would then outsource, or not outsource, but decentralize our adult ed and take them into elementary schools. And so right now, I can tell you I'm the only representative in my district right now that has one school with adult education happening. So we have ESL and GED classes occurring right now. How does that tie into a bigger picture? Well, when I'm working as part of a membership that I have with Cien Amigos, there's something called DACA. And DACA has 5 different requirements. One of them being that they have to be enrolled in adult education and pursuing either a degree or a GED in their education here in the United States. So I have now been partnering up and then pressuring our school district to get some of those funds back. And then just recently, I actually gave another resource out to our Mexican consul that our public libraries are now starting an online program for adult education. So there are resources out there. We just have to learn how to find them. We have to know how to connect them all together. And instead of duplicating the wheel, why don't we put it together and then we all can benefit from it? Because once we have education, again, with our adults, and I'll just do one more example of this. When we had our adult education center in Southside Sacramento before it got closed and before one of my other elementary schools got closed, here's the travesty of it, is that those parents, whichever language